Hello, welcome back to the ministry, and today we're finishing the last part, hopefully, of this film, The Perfect Match, because this thing is about 7 parts. Oh my god! And but this was deep, and I was not going to avoid the hard parts of this because this was the whole point that I did this movie. That there's some real deep parts in this, and it needed to be broken down in such a way that I needed to hit these parts, even if they were uncomfortable. Because God was literally, I was trying to figure out, I skipped a day. I could have recorded something on Sunday and finished this word, but for some reason the Lord did not let me record it on Sunday. But yesterday, when I sat down to do it, He gave me, it was like an in time, in moment, moment by moment walkthrough of certain things that needed to be released in this part that I'm releasing to you right now. And it was like where the videos cut off, because you notice in the previous videos there were a couple cutoffs. Where the videos had to be cut off, I literally was in time getting more information because the Lord was speaking to me about certain things, speaking to me about my God ordained spouse, speaking to me about a lot of things that was spiritually going on. Because see, I'm glad that I take time to sit in the presence of the Lord the way that I do because of the fact that He will give me a lot of revelation all at once. And sometimes it will be in tandem. Most people, if you understood the way that the Lord spoke to me, it sometimes is so in itself, in its moment, that I can't move past the moment in which He's trying to give. That's why sometimes it may look, oh, she just cut the video off in the middle of the point. No, God had me cut it off because somebody came to interrupt the video. And had I not interrupted it and kept going at the pace that I thought I needed to go, none of the revelation that you would have gotten yesterday afternoon would you have gotten had I not stopped and went and did something else for a moment. Because I had to go and actually look at something that the Lord was showing me to look at to come back and be like, oh, and He gave me a completely expanded form of revelation. That's why we in 7 points or 7 parts for this film, because God's gave me more revelation. And as He gave me that revelation, it made even more sense to what these God ordained spouses have been going through, because He's kind of given it to me in a psychological standpoint as to what these men have been dealing with. And I'm like, whoa, I feel like a psychologist over here. But you need that. You need a level of discernment and you need a level of psychology. I suggest if you're a Christian that does warfare under any state, in any circumstances, I'm not saying go and take an entire degree in psychology. I'm saying take Psychology 101. Period. You can take a psychology course, Psychology 101. You line that up with discernment, you be a beast in the spirit. Let me tell you. Not to mention, I also listen to a psychologist who studies psychology, who's a Christian woman, who does videos all the time. So she's giving me recollection to the stuff that I learned when I was in psychology. And as the Lord is opening these things up to me, I'm like, whoa, whoa, this is so deep. But I don't want to sit up here and spend half this time talking about the psychology of the thing. Let's get to the thing, because I ain't got much time. But because I want to finish this one, and I'm determining whether I'm going to do the Urkel Laura thing or I'm going to jump right into graduation. So, is there something else that I'm supposed to do other than Urkel and Laura? I'll determine that, but I need to finish this. So, where we left off, he quit his job. Your God ordained spouse is at a point right now that he's been shutting doors. Lady Jeremiah did a word a while back. It was called, and it should still be up, musical chairs. Your God ordained spouse has been in a season where he's been rearranging his life. Okay? Where he's moving people in certain seats. And this is actually very poetic because today is election day. What does an election do? Election removes people out of places of power. I will pull down one and rise up another. I will move you from the back to the front. This is the time frame in which your God-ordained spouse has been changing seats. Maybe he's quit a job, he's made some major decisions, he's moved from the place that he was living in to a new place, and he's been in preparation phase in order to prepare a place for you to come into. I got a word called freshman, but I cannot release that until I release graduation, because you got to graduate before you become a freshman. And God's given these words sequentially to me in the past few days. So I'm trying to get it out because I see a pattern, okay? And it has to be done in sequential order. So he's been rearranging the chairs. He's been rearranging friendships. He's been rearranging associates in his business. He's been rearranging positioning. He's been rearranging his life. He's changing decisions. He's probably quit jobs, changed contracts, shifted people, removed team members. I've seen this happen to every business person that I know of. When they were in a season of elevation, the team that they had on board with them, they usually ended up having to drop people. And it's funny, I've been seeing the video pop up in my YouTube feed talking about Elon Musk he's firing a ton of people from out of Twitter. And it's like, yeah, because it's the time of seat changes. So the seats are changing so that it can make space for the God-ordained people that God wants there. Your God-ordained spouse is moving people around. So he quits his job. After he quits his job, he goes to see his sister, who is the therapist. There are people in your God-ordained spouse's life, family members, friends, associates, things like this. Maybe he has kept them out of his life. Because when you're doing dirty, out here sinning and doing whatever it is you be doing, notice you don't go near your family then. People that are out there, they're drug addicts, they drinkers, they sex abusers, whatever it is that is their taste. I remember years ago I saw the movie Addicted. We will not do that review. I'm sorry, we can't do that one. I'm going to mention this though. In the movie Addicted, the wife was out there moving dirty out in them streets. Her husband didn't know nothing about it, and she kept trying to push him away. When you are doing sinful things, this is how husbands get caught when they cheating, because of the fact that they cannot consciously continue to operate in the same format with their wife that they are with the person in which they're sleeping with. So if they're sleeping with somebody outside of the marriage, notice the wife ain't getting none. Ooh. Yeah. The wife ain't getting none. So when you're in your sin, you cannot operate with the people that you normally would. Meaning, he more than likely was staying away from family members. He more than likely was staying away from friends. He was only staying within that clique group that he was associated with. That was his friend group when he was in his sin. But he had to cut those people off. Come out of alignment and agreement with that type of lifestyle. And as I was saying in the previous video, he can see you. He has sight to you. He knows where you are. But what the Lord did, like I said with Stephanie P, the Lord showed you to him and said, I'm dangling this in front of you. Do you want it? If you want it, you got to cut everything else off. And that's what he's doing. He's been cutting it off, shutting the doors, moving people into new seats and surroundings so that he can make room for you to sit next to him. For the assignment that the Lord has shown him that you are supposed to take the place of. But he's got to make room for you. He's got to position you in the space. But he's got to make room for that position. And that's when he will be ready for you. And that's what's taken so long. He's been moving pieces into place. You think you were the only one sitting around here preparing and sitting on your laurels saying, God, when is he coming? No, God said, I got to evacuate a ton of stuff on his side of his life. And due to the fact that he got a whole lot more going on than you do, it's going to take him a minute. Give him a minute. Give him grace because I'm dealing with him. And matter of factly, he going to do it faster than you did it because I'm going to give him the grace to do it faster than you did it. It's going to, what for us may have taken years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is that your years time frame, he compressed that with your God ordained spouse. Because see, the thing about men and women that is different is the fact that we are going to take our time. We got to get through our emotions. We got to heal. We got to go through all this. Men, they going to rip that bandage off and they going to keep going. Men will go through the process so much faster. You be sitting up there like, you want to talk about it? And the man's like, can we get to the point? They will get to the point. That's why for them, what took you 10 years would take them 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. It'll take them months what took you years. Because they ain't forward to sitting in their feelings. We'll sit in our feelings for... We could be out of a relationship. And this happens with us. Tell me I'm lying. Some of y'all know this. For the extent of the amount of time that we were in our past relationship is the amount of time it'll take us to heal from it. Tell me I'm lying. If you were in a relationship for 6 months, it would take you 6 months to heal from that relationship. If you were in a relationship for 2 years, it would take you 2 years to heal from that relationship. If you were in a relationship for 6 years, it's going to take you 6 years to heal from that relationship. My last relationship I was in for 7 years. I didn't start my healing process for real until August 2014. So it took me 7.5 years to heal. Legit. For real. I thought I was healing prior to that. But what I was doing was suppressing and because we heal the surface, we don't heal what's underneath. God had to deep clean me of all of that stuff. I'm over that. But what the enemy wants to do is he wants to test the doors right now. The enemy will test your doors. Are you sure? This is why we've been seeing counter. And I guarantee you, your God ordained spouse, because of the speed in which he's been moving, the enemy he had to bring the counterfeit in. The Lord allowed the counterfeit to come in, but there were some counterfeits that came in that that the Lord used just simply to test to see that he would reject them. You understand what I'm saying? Where we at? So he quits the job and he's sitting with his sister and they're going through some emotional things dealing with the parents. And they're talking about the mom and the dad. They still never mention exactly how the parents died, but the sister says, I'm so glad that you went through this process, though, because of the fact that you needed to be broken. Because in your breaking, you came to the understanding that you can love again. And that love actually does exist within you. Ooh, my nose is itchy. Yes. You came to the understanding. Ever since I started watching one particular, it's a girl named Nina. And every single time she's releasing a word, her nose starts itching. Ever since I started watching her, my nose starts itching every time I'm releasing something. It's been happening ever since then. Uh, but what ended up happening is your God ordained spouse had to come to the realization of himself. There are people in his life that he probably sat down with that's a mentorial person, sister, advocate, parent, mentor, father figure, whatever that person is. And they sat down and they explained to them what they just went through. It's like it was a necessity for them to go through it in order for them to grow through it, in order for them to be prepared to walk into what it is that they're going to walk into when they come to you. Okay? So, with that being said, the sister was saying, you didn't see mom and dad. I saw them. I grew up with them. I saw what it was. I saw what their love was. That's why I believe in love. Because when he was in his mode, he said he met up with his sister, and his sister was like, what's up with you? Because she even came to her and said, you've been divorced twice, so how dare you even come to me and say anything to me about any relationship? How dare you think you can therapize me when your stuff done fell apart? Because see, the thing that people don't understand, how can you're not married, you can't talk about this stuff. How come you? Let me tell you something. A marriage it's more than a piece of paper. It's a relationship, okay? A marriage is how you treated that relationship. You can treat a relationship like a marriage and you ain't never had the ring. Tell me that there isn't a case. And some of y'all been in that situation. Y'all been sitting up playing house with a person that y'all shouldn't have been. In the house thinking that you was wifey and you wasn't wifey. He ain't never put a ring on your finger. Kept saying maybe he even said that he was going to put a ring on your finger. And that's what held you in place. But he ain't never do none of that. But you was treating that situation like it was a marriage. But people say, oh, well, you didn't have the ring. You didn't go through the process. You didn't get married. You treated it like it was a marriage. You learn the thing in that relationship like a marriage. You experience things. I do not know why this sweater will not sit the right way on me. It's an old sweater. But like a marriage. So people will only project upon you because they're like, oh, you can't know this. You can't know this. You wasn't in a relationship. I was in relationship with the last person I was in relationship with for 7.5 years. We broke up for a year and a half and got right back together. We met when we were 14. We broke up officially when we were 25. So I treated that relationship like a marriage. And a friend of mine that I had after that literally used to talk to me like, you talk about this relationship like you got divorced. I'm like, I do. I didn't know. The same emotions, just because the paper wasn't there doesn't mean that you didn't treat it the same. So don't let nobody ever lie to you and say that. That's how we have the ability to talk about marriage, because of the fact that we went through a relationship and we treated it the same way. We cooked, we cleaned, we took care of that relationship. We were in it. We were in it. We loved on that man. We loved, yeah. We just didn't know they weren't the one. We didn't know. We did not know. So these men They went back and they repaired the breaches. All the things that they sat up there and messed up with their friends and all that kind of stuff. They had to go repair that. They had to repair the relationships with their moms and dads, their friends, their family, all of this type of stuff. And what I've been hearing in the spirit, because I've been getting a lot of words like this, your God ordained spouse been talking about you to their mom, their dad, their best friend, all this kind of stuff. Because they ain't been talking about the counterfeit. They've been talking about you. They went to their pastor and talked about you. So when you come into this situation, you think you coming in there naked and afraid. They're like, I done told everybody about you. You already straight. They're waiting for you. These people are waiting for you. I'm remembering something. I don't know whether it was a scripture or a quote that talks about that the people that God has anointed to be in your next season, God has already put you on their hearts and their minds. God has put your name in the spirit. It's so funny because I believe the same way God's been showing me my God ordained spouse's name. My name is actually a popular name too. I have a name after a very popular building and a hotel. So it's easy to put my name in front of somebody. My God ordained spouse's name is even easier because I've seen dogs named after my God ordained spouse. But at least the nickname that he uses. And the thing about it is the fact that these people are waiting for you. He's been talking about you. He's been arranging his life to prepare for you. I've heard people saying that they're talking to their pastors about you. They're talking to their families about you. They are preparing their lives for you. They've been talking about you like you already there. And you ain't even there yet. So it's imperative that when God says go, you go, because it's going to embarrass them otherwise if you don't. Yeah. If they send for you, you got to go, because it's going to be a make or break moment for them because they've already been talking about you. So when you get there, they'll be ready for you. Isaac's people is coming. You ready, Rebecca? Okay? Know it. Understand it. It's happening soon. I've been seeing words all over. Isaac and Rebecca, Isaac and Rebecca, Isaac and Rebecca. Megan Michelle referenced Isaac and Rebecca the other day. Righteous Wife referenced, I saw a cue card from her video saying, your Isaac is ready. It's like Isaac is coming to get you, honey. Time's ticking. Close up what you gotta close up. Shop's gotta get ready to go, because you about to be done with this season. And you're about to enter into your new season because they preparing for you. So as the movie came to an end, he went to the wedding. His best friends had their rehearsal and wedding. They didn't even split this up. You saw the rehearsal and the next day you were seeing the kiss for the wedding. But in the rehearsal, they were literally, as rehearsing, they were mending friendships, but the friendships, they weren't as hurt as it appeared. The fact of the matter is, there are things that your God ordained spouse has done, and he may have mentally thought that these breaks were permanent, but God has situated it. How many times has the Lord pulled you out of a situation like that, and you were like, God, but I can't immediately leave that thing, because if I immediately leave that thing, that's gonna hurt that person. And then when you call back a year or 2 years later and talk to the person, because you was afraid that if you called them because of how you left it, they was like, they gonna be angry at you. No, they answer the phone like you their best friend. We good. That's the way it is with them. You're good. They good. Everything's up and up. So, the wedding happens, and you come to find out that the woman that was trying to get pregnant the whole film, she finally got pregnant. And I want to pause on this moment because I'm getting revelation here. Some of y'all have been pregnant with this whole process. You've been working on, and the fact of the matter, if she got pregnant, she was more than likely pregnant the whole time. When you get pregnant, your pregnancy don't show up for a month, 6 weeks. You start to get symptoms, whatever. Sometimes you're stressing over the issue and the pregnancy don't show up until after you stop stressing about it. A lot of us been stressing and pregnant with the anticipation of this process towards the manifestation of our marriages, that we've been thinking that we've been getting false positives. It's going to happen. Braxton Hicks contractions, false contractions, all this kind of stuff, because we weren't patient enough to finally relax and allow the process to happen naturally, which will thereby Hannah, when Hannah went up to that altar, said what she had to say to Jesus and left it in his hands. Eli gave her the anointing. She went home and they did the do that they needed to do, and it was over. Some of y'all, you're coming into the culmination of the thing that you've been spiritually pregnant with. Remember, and this brings me back to Mary. This wasn't even part of this word. Mary being pregnant with Jesus at the point of her what? Wedding. The woman was pregnant and announced her pregnancy at the rehearsal before the wedding. So it came out. These things are coming to culmination at this point. All of this stuff. Your God ordained spouse is coming in. I'm going to even give you this little tidbit that I wasn't even going to mention. I had a dream a long time ago of a businesswoman pregnant and going into labor as they were preparing for the wedding. Mary, pregnancy, wedding to Joseph. All of this is a culmination of a birthing process. To birth into the next season. Your God ordained spouse is being birthed into the next season while you are pregnant with the promise of it. You understand what I'm saying? You've been pregnant with the promise of it, and it's been hidden all this time. So let me get out of that, because we're coming to the end of this, and I want to make sure I get through this last little point. So, they had the wedding. 8 months later, he has his show. And I must tap on this because he has his show and everybody comes to this location. Your God ordained spouse is bringing about a culmination around himself. Remember, all the seats and the chairs have been rearranged. So now there is space for you to come into this point. But before that happens, the counterfeit does need to come back. 1, to test their resolve. 2, to bring a closure of composure to this situation. She comes back to explain why. The Lord is going to, or has brought the counterfeit to bring a certain level of revelation as to the juxtaposition of the Lord in that situation. All it is bringing the pieces together as to why it had to happen the way that it happened for them in that moment. She explains to him, there's my nose again. She literally explains to him, I was going through something at that time. You were not interested in relationships. You seemed safe. So my ex got cold feet just before the wedding, so I used you. I'd been with that man the entire time, my whole life, and I'd never experienced another man. I slept with you. We were coming into a point that the wedding was going to be back on. I was going to break it off with you irregardless. Passing through. They were bypassing each other. She wasn't never going to stay. The person that was the counterfeit in your God ordained spouse's life is headed to their own culmination. They were going in their own direction, but they were sent by the Lord. Some people don't believe the Lord will send somebody to tear something down like this. Yes, God will send somebody to tear somebody down like this because of the fact that he needs to prepare the person to be able to receive. Why? Because they need to receive what God is preparing to give them. They came to understanding and they even hugged. Some of your counterfeits to your spouses are understood as to the reason why they were there. They know their assignment. And the God ordained spouse will learn the assignment in that last meeting. That was the assignment, to break them down. They actually went away from that moment amicably. They hugged even. And you know what happened next? Within a short period of time, he's at the coffee shop, sitting there working on in his purpose, because he has now let go of the job and he is working fully in his photography. The order gets called. Seems like the exact same scenario that happened that day. But guess what? The woman that goes to pick up the coffee when he goes to pick up the coffee is the exact same woman that was sitting at that table the night with him and his friends, did not recognize her. And he said, she's like, you don't remember me? He's like, what? What do you mean? I was at the table with y'all that night. I've been away traveling. I missed the wedding because I was in Dubai. And he was like, what? Come, sit down. And they sat down and started talking. You God ordained spouse gonna have his epiphany moment. God's gonna release him to come to you, and it's gonna be on from there. That's the end of the film, and I have to end it there. Now I might bring back the last few points in a short, but that is the perfect match. This is Taj McCarron for LFPB Ministries, and that's it. Bye-bye.